Sp17. But anyway, if you go to my RBC.org website on Mac, and then you'll need to follow some steps. Yeah. Yeah, the S, for whatever reason, sort of actually doesn't do all the it's very so I usually have my program log in with created an admin account. So, see, bottom of that poster, there's the steps to follow. So all the stuff you need to know. Let me know if it works after the film. Okay. That's good. Okay, cool. All right, well, how's everybody doing tonight? Great, wonderful, perfect. Glad you're doing so good. Second day of spring. Pretty good, right? Well, we have our light box up here. We'll talk about what that is. Next week is the lighting lab. I'll be bringing my umbrella lights in. If you do want to bring a friend or a brother or sister that doesn't mind having their photo taken, that would be awesome next week. So if you know somebody that's photogenic, that loves getting their photos taken, which we all have friends like that, right? Or family members, you can bring them next week. And anybody in mind, basically? Maybe. Okay, cool, awesome. That's great. Yeah, we can have more than one. That's great. So when you come in next week, we'll go over lighting in general, some steps that will help you using lights with your camera. It'll take about 15, 20 minutes, 25 minutes to go over that. Then I'll have a light set up here in the corner. I'm going to use this as a black drop in the back and a chair, and we'll just practice taking photos. Show you how to do it. You'll take 3 or 4 different poses and tell you how to talk to people when you're taking a photo and how not to talk to people when you're taking a photo. We've maybe been there in situations to where everybody been in a photo shoot was kind of weird, kind of like, okay, you felt weird, just the pose you had to hold, your face or something, ended up looking pretty good. Maybe the photo did, but it actually felt weird holding the pose for a few seconds with your head turned this way and that way and whatever. I always have to crook my head. I guess my face is crooked because I've always had to tilt my head this way a little bit for photos. I don't know why, but ends up looking pretty good, but feels awkward. And so we'll talk about my perspective on portrait photos, which might be different than some. And so I like to more have fun and have like a party mode type things for photos. Looks like at the end result, when you're family members and you look at it later, you're like, oh yeah, we had fun that day. We've all looked at photos where people go, wow, that's a really nice photo. And you're like, yeah, that was a terrible worst day of my life. We fought the entire time to get to the photo shoot. And then when everybody got there, everybody smiled for a millisecond, and that's what you see. But you don't see everything that happened the day before, right? We've all been there. Well, I handed out a handout to all of you, and some of you have already tested it, but we're for the event next Thursday, the collaborating code. We're testing out it's not a new technology. It's actually a technology been out a while called augmented reality. And augmented reality, Apple's really pushing. In fact, there's rumors in their next phone release, they'll have built into the phone an operating system, augmented reality, to where you can experience augmented reality in a lot of different apps and stuff. And the difference between augmented reality, and you've probably heard a lot of virtual reality, right, with the glasses or the goggles or whatever they are, is augmented reality brings objects into your reality that aren't there. Virtual reality puts you inside of a virtual world, right? And so augmented reality has been used up to this point. There's been some semi-successful companies use it for marketing, to where you walk in a store, you fire up their app, and it has augmented. You look at a rack of clothes or
whatever, and it pops up sales. You tap on a button and it gives you a coupon that you can use. I saw a commercial recently of a real estate company that's using augmented reality on an iPad app where you can point on any street. It'll show you houses that are for sale, and you can tap on things to watch videos and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you a live demo using my iPhone. And some of you have already done this, and thank you for those helping me test this. So I'm going to plug in my iPhone and switch over the screen to where you can see my iPhone, and I'm going to be viewing this poster. All right, so there's my iPhone. And fire up the app. A little purple button at the bottom. I'm going to press, scan it. And you see a video pop up, a cheesy video I made. It's not the best video. But at the end of the video, it actually will redirect to a website for the coding or collaborating code. As you notice, as I move the phone too, the video will come in and out if I move off of it. You can set it to not do that. All right, and then redirect to the website. So that's augmented reality, and that's what you have in front of you that you can play with. And we're going to have them all over campus. We'll be building more posters with augmented reality. You'll be seen around campus. To use it on a computer, the user would have to view the poster on a computer and then use their phone. I think, and that's good. I'm doing that, but also I think in tandem with posters is probably the way to do it. It's used in education a lot for. I think it's a cool use I read today of virtual tours and virtual tours is one of treasure hunts. So you get a map of different items that you have to find. You guys ever done treasure hunts before, like with groups and stuff, where they give you a list of items in a mall, you draw, and you have to find all these items in an hour. Whoever finds them first wins, right? So it's the same type of deal, except you're using augmented reality. And what's cool about this app is you guys can set up your own free app at home with this rusma.com website. And what's cool about it is you can go into a store or a site you're visiting, take a picture of whatever it is you're wanting people to find, and then you basically upload them to a poster and put a nice poster together, and wherever you want your layout to be, you put that augmented reality piece in there, and it shows a picture. You can even embed maps, embed video. You can embed buttons that aren't there, so virtual buttons. So when you look at a poster, instead of just seeing the poster, it now becomes an active website of little buttons to do certain things. So a lot of cool features, a lot of cool uses. But there was a gentleman who taught, I think, science at 6th or 7th grade, that he had a really cool board of nothing but augmented reality that kids would use for hunting down different objects within nature that he would find around the back of the school or around a nature trail. And so kind of cool. And so we'll be seeing more of that. And the reason I'm using it now is Apple's going to be releasing augmented reality in their next iOS platform. I teach iOS development. So in the fall, we'll be teaching augmented reality in the development class for iOS. So one of the lessons students will be creating towards the end of the semester will be an augmented reality app of whatever it is they want to do. So that's what it is. And as you can see up here on the front of the class, we've got the light box which we'll have you come up in just a little bit to look at. And you bring your camera up and take a picture of my cool card holder. I wasn't going to put my knife in there, which I love my knife, by the way, but I don't know if I would get in trouble for that or not. So I know it's a legal length, which you can't carry a pocket knife longer than 2.5 inches, which this one's right at 2.5 inches on the blade. So, but anyway, I put my card holder in there. But these are used a lot for photo, macro photography, or micro photography with small objects. So has anybody ever sold items on eBay before or sites like that? This is what this is used for. When my son was at home years ago, not that many years ago, but he was a big shoe guy. He was a cross-country runner. And so there was a time where he was a shoe reseller for a while. And we had like a whole house full of shoes, basically, you know. Because you've never known cross-country runners. There's only so many miles they can put on their shoes. I think it was something like, I don't know, 250, 300 miles. Then you had to buy new shoes. But the shoes look totally brand new, like, you know, because they took care of them really well. But so because of that, he started selling shoes. And people pay a lot of money for shoes, by the way. The average cost I think we spent on shoes for his cross-country time, and which was junior, senior level, was about 125 to 150 bucks was the average cost for shoes. But he would use something like this to take pictures of shoes he was selling, and a lot of them were Nike, you know, different types of brands of shoes, and would use this. And then what's nice about it is it comes with the lights, comes with the camera stand, and you can manipulate it with a blue back. It's got the blue backdrop to where you can post-production it. And put anything in the background or just, you know, clear it out and upload it. And so very inexpensive, by the way. This only costs about 30 bucks at Walmart, and you can get them at Camera Craft as well. Walmart does keep these in stock. And when it's all broken down, it's a nice little carrying case that holds everything in it. The 2 lights, the stand, and everything rolls up really nice and neat. So we'll look at that tonight, what that's all about, and have you come up and play with it. And if you have any trinkets with you, you can put it in there like a coin or something like that and practice with macro photography. So we are in week 10. And first thing I want you to do, if you've not already done, some of you did this before class, I noticed, is last week was a landscape photo lab where you were to take landscape photos, I think 10 of them. I need you to email whatever photo it is you like the best out of the ones you submitted last week. Email to that email address in 10 tasks. That's Chucon plus Sp17 at Foki.com. Subject line your last name. And then to confirm it's uploaded, you can go to the link here. And looks like Ferger's already uploaded. Is Ferger in? All right, thank you. And so where's this at? Been taken at? All right, awesome. And so whatever your favorite landscape photo is, upload it. And so let's take a few minutes and do that while I'm getting the notes loaded here for the macro discussion. So you can go to your photo website, download the favorite one you like, upload it here. And remember on the email, you have to use your RBC email or Gmail or something like that to email this. And please make sure and put your name in the subject. Just your last name only is fine. And then to confirm, just click on the link underneath number 1 if you wouldn't mind. And we'll look at those after we get through discussing notes. So I'll give you some time to do it while I'm going over notes. Sound good? So while I'm talking over notes over macro, I'm going to have you be doing this task. Bless you back there. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the notes up while you're doing that. And again, it's right at the root of week 10 module is where you'll find that information. And after we discuss the notes here, we will look at some of your awesome landscape photos. Make sure this is, okay, good. All right. So macro photography, while you're uploading your stuff, your landscape, I'll talk about macro. So macro photography allows you to take up close-up pictures of anything, basically. It's mostly used for like nature, it seems like insects and flowers. Even in medical field, it's used a lot for surgery to get close-up shots of different surgery type of techniques, which you can't see just at 100% view. And so they'll use macro photography to do that. And used in a lot of fields, but I would say medical field is going to be the number one I could think of off the top of my head that macros use a lot. If you ever looked at National Geographic or any of these photo pages or photo sites for nature, you'll see a lot of macro photography as well. So how you take macro photography is just like any other photo that you take. You fill the entire photo, though. Instead of the rule of thirds here, you're filling the entire object of your camera with the photo in macro. So you're not really worried much about rule of thirds at all in this, but you are worried about the object being focused. And then if there is anything in the background, that it would be blurred out. And you can also try shooting from different angles. So if you're looking for like deep saturations of color, you can use front lighting. If you're looking to bring the texture, you can use side lighting. And due to the narrow depth of field, the background will definitely be thrown out of focus. So when you come up here later and you take a picture of my awesome business card holder and you get really, really close with your camera, like say in macro mode or aperture mode, either one of those two, it'll throw the back out of focus, the background out of focus automatically. And the front will be totally focused in. So make sure you don't have anything distracting in this one. You don't want any foreground, middle ground, background in macro. You literally just want the object itself, and that's it. Nothing else is going to be in that. Can anybody think of a macro that you've seen lately? We'll look at a whole bunch of examples tonight, by the way, but can anybody think of off the top of your head a macro you've seen either on the web, on TV, some documentary, something that you've seen recently that you can think of? Yeah. What was it? I'm sorry, what was it again? A pencil, right? Was it on like an ad or something?
Yeah.
Okay. But like a really good close-up of a pencil. Anybody else? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I saw one. It was a Starbucks ad. And they had like coffee beans on a checkered table, and it was the camera was literally right on the table, focused on the beans before they were ground, the coffee cup behind it. But it really focused on a few of the beans, really up close. And so a lot of food vendors or food magazines will do the same thing on some types of food that they're taking a shot of. They'll blow up whatever it is or get close enough whatever it is to really good macro. And again, like I talked about earlier, macro, the Da Vinci, I think, is the item I was thinking about earlier in the medical field. The Da Vinci is a medical device to where the doctor or surgeon uses a robot to do the surgery. You guys have seen ads for this on commercial, right? It uses macro photography to get really, really into like even images inside of veins and blowing them up to where it literally looks like it's really close up, right, like this big, but it's, you know, really super duper small, to where the surgeon can heal or suture the vein. And by the way, the only reason I know the word suture is because my wife was in the medical field for 25 years. Normal people don't know the word suture, I know, but that's the only reason I know that. So they get up close into that and suture that vein or the heart or whatever it is they're correcting. And so medical fields is used a lot, but you've seen mostly probably in nature, a lot of nature shots like these here in the left and right or left and middle. The right, there's some pencils there, not really that up close though on this one, but the shots on this one are, I'm going to turn off these lights. Pretty bright lights. All right, so this one here on the left, the front end of the front part of the insect is very well in focus. Towards the back, blurred. Same thing with this insect, or actually this flower, and then the insect's behind it is sharp. This one here is pretty much flat. It's not really a good example of macro. It's up close, but it's not isolating one object. So to use a light box like we have up here, that we'll look at in just a second, I'll have you guys play with it at the end of the class, is eBay items, insects, small objects. I had a student a couple semesters ago that brought in, and by the way, this will be here next week too. So if you have little trinkets at home, you can bring them in and play with them. So while you're not doing this, you can be doing this. But a student last 2 or 3 semesters ago had a collection of old boxcars that he had collected over the years, and brought them in and set them up inside of there. It looked pretty cool. And they were really miniature boxcars, really miniature cars. And so items like that, jewelry, rings, anything like that, watches, really good to use for. You can, by the way, if you Google, if you like to do it yourself type stuff, DIY stuff, you can Google DIY macro light box. And here's one example of one. And I've played with a couple of them. They're pretty easy to build. Just a big cardboard box. You cut out 4 or 3 sides. Get some white paper, or you can get green paper. Seems to work better, or blue paper works better. And then set up your own type of light box. So you don't have to spend the $30, or if you don't have the $30, you can make one yourself. We all get boxes, especially around Christmas, that we all throw away, or get a big box at the store and make your own. And this one just simple white paper all around, all the sides. So here, here, and here, and then a big piece of white paper coming down, and then you can put the lights on both sides of it. And on this one, you can even put it on top. The one I have here, you can't put light on the top of it, only on the sides. So this is kind of nice for that. And I have built one of these, and it literally, I bought the box at, where was it, a box store, and then got the paper at office supply store, a big roll of paper, like butcher block paper, and totally cost about maybe $8 or $10 to build. But that was buying everything brand new, but you could probably find this stuff around your house maybe, and not spend as much money or anything. Here's the one you can buy at Walmart or Camera-Craft on Perryville. And price tag last I looked was about $25, $30. I've had mine for 8 years, and I had to replace the bulbs. And I know I've used it hundreds of times. My son Mark, I don't know how many times he used it. So, and it's still the same set of bulbs. Never changed them. So that's pretty good testament to the product. And when it folds down, it folds down like this, has a nice little carry handle, and it's a portable light studio. Pretty nice. And definitely do recommend it. I've used it, again, when I first got it, I bought it from Mark to sell the shoes. And then I didn't think I would really use it much. But since then, I have used it quite a bit to take photos for things that we sold online, for objects around the house. I'm now into 3D printing, so I use it a lot of times now to take objects I'm getting ready to replicate on a 3D printer. With this, you can get because you have a 3D printer, you have to have a really well lit object or lighting to take it and to replicate it. So it works really nice because of that. So I think that's it on that. Oh, and this is what it looked like outside. We were doing an outside event one time, and I took a picture of it on just a plain white table, and towards sunset, and just experimenting with lights and experimenting with different types of lighting. You can definitely do. And this one here, I told you the top was exposed. That's because I have the top off of it on this. So top can be exposed, because I have it that way on that. All right, cool. So let's go to the examples here. So while we're looking at these examples, I want you to think about what's cool about macro photography. But before we do that, did everybody get a chance to upload your landscape? Raise your hand if you got a chance to send it anyway. Okay, so let's look and see what everybody's done so far. If you've still haven't got it done, don't worry about it. Just get it done before Sunday. That'd be great. So let me look at the too many. There we go. Okay, so we have Ferger, Reed, Quine, Woolbright, Shank, and Joshko. So let's go through all these. First one, and I'm going to turn this fan off. See everybody. There we go. Okay. So, and where was this photo taken at? Arizona. What part of Arizona? Tempe, Arizona. Okay, real popular. And so midday or like towards the end of the day, actually looks like. So good photo, good. And landscape can be either portrait or vertical or horizontal. So good example there. And Reed, where'd you take this at?
I actually took that in Beloit.
In Beloit.
Yeah, it was just coming
And
out
what time of
the-
day was this? Was this morning or late evening?
It was definitely late
Early.
evening.
Okay.
I think it was around, I want to say 7-ish.
Okay. Yeah, so this is kind of like we talked about last week, the silhouette effect to the trees, and you can see the light in the background, and it's got the 1/3, 2/3 going on the sky land. So good job. And who took this photo? Okay, and where was this taken at?
At a park near my house.
Okay, near sunset?
Yeah.
Okay, and the sky has some really beautiful tones here. Even some lines in it, it looks like. And so silhouette of the trees. So good job. And who took this photo? Yeah. And was this around your house?
Yeah, around my house.
Okay. And like what time of day?
Mid-afternoon.
Okay. So as soon as you got up, you went outside. No, just kidding.
Weekend, probably.
Yeah. Okay. That's all right. So good photo, good light. And so it's got a good structure as far as the lines go with it and curvature there of the road. So good job. Next photo took this one. And where was this at?
Is it,
Aldine. Are they open now?
I don't know.
I have no idea. Okay. Totally side note there. So the concrete bridge there at Aldine, or the block bridge. And so what time of day was this? Okay. So you got some good shadows in the trees. You got some water in there. You got, again, this one here looks like the main object is this bridge that you try to focus on, and definitely came through. And you even have some foreground I notice here, which is kind of cool. The little branches hanging there. So foreground, middle ground, background, which you can definitely get in landscape. And this photo. And where's this taken out? Really good photo. And near sunset, good 1/3, 2/3 scenario. Even this part here, even though it's silhouetted, kind of gives kind of a foreground effect, I think, to the photo. And you kind of see it after you've looked at it for a second. You kind of wonder, what is that? You kind of look close. What is that? So the viewer is going to kind of wonder what that is, and that's good. And this photo. And where was this taken at? Okay. Okay, awesome. And so good photo, good structure, good lighting. And so great job on your landscapes. Hope you had fun with the landscape photo. I like taking them. If a challenge or a fun, not really a challenge, but something fun to do, I like to drive between here and Galena a lot of times. Tons of places to take. And the reason I like that drive is, by the way, where I grew up in Southwest Missouri, tons of hills all over the place. And I kind of miss that sometimes. And you get some hills going between here and Galena. And so there's that lookout place between here and Galena right before the golf course. I think it's on the right side on 20. and there's a whole bunch of places where people take photos of. I encourage you to kind of go off the beaten path. There's a couple, they look like to me, and I might be wrong, cattle trails of, cows that have made a path or something through there. You just have to kind of watch for cow droppings, but there's some pretty cool places to take photos, that's for sure. And so I think the dam there in Galena, I've taken some good shots there on top of it by going to the very top of the hill. And so great place to take photos in there in that area. So for hills and landscapes. Okay, so now we're going to look at some examples of some awesome macro photography. And again, while we're looking at these, the in-class assignment for this one is just like we did last week. We've been doing a couple weeks here this semester, and I like to do it this way. While you're looking at the photos, think of what you like about macro that is unlike any other type of photo type of setup. So it starts off by talking about macro being close-up photography compared to other types of photography. It can be quite difficult. I don't think it's that difficult once you start using it. It can be expensive too, because they have some really awesome expensive equipment for macro photography, both lenses and devices. Like in the medical field, they have really nice microscopes that focus just for macro photography for I used to work for a pathologist when I was going through school, and I would drive to these different hospitals and clinics to pick up, I'll just say, objects in bags, and then bring them back to the pathologist for him to dissect and figure out why this person had cancer, why this baby died, all these other things. Anyway, I was watching him one day, and he had a one of these really high-end microscopes that had a camera built into it, and macro photography. And he was telling me at that time, this was like back in like 80, would have been 86, 87, 1987. It was like about $8,000 for just that one microscope. And he was showing me a slice of a brain. The person had died of brain cancer. And healthy brains are flesh color, really light. The parts of the brain that aren't healthy are usually dark in matter. And then he showed me another one that's totally black. And I said, well, what's that? I thought for sure it had to be cancer. It's not a cancer or something. He said, no, that's a part of the brain that was never used. And so he said, the parts of the brains that we never use for memory over time becomes black because no blood flow goes to it and no air is needed. Your body goes, oh, you're not going to use this part after a while. It just starts not using it at all. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. Something to think about when you're eating dinner after class tonight. Just kidding. But when you work with a pathologist, they kind of, and he was a really cool guy. He would kind of joke around while he's doing this. But I remember that microscope was really awesome, some of the photos he took. But it gets things up close and lighting and different effects that you can't get with other types of photography. So we're going to look at inspirational macro photography, not pathologist photography, even though that is interesting. So let me blow up some of these a little closer, and we're just going to browse through these real quick. And the title of this is 35 Examples of Stunning Macro Photography. And some of these, or in fact, all of these, I would say is definitely post-production, like I mentioned last week on your landscape. Every photo you're going to take, for the most part, is going to have some post-production, whether you use Photoshop, whether you use Pixlr. And by the way, talking about Photoshop, I know some of you are pretty well skilled in Photoshop and you've used it. Adobe Creative Cloud for students, and you might already know this, you can get it, I believe it's $10 a month, and you get every product in the Creative Cloud suite for $10 a month. That's pretty cheap, actually. And so if you're talking about Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, the whole gamut, like 25 different products, I think is what it is. And because it's in the cloud, you can access these now through iOS tablet, iPads, and I believe some of them are made for Droid as well on the Droid market. I know all of them are made for iOS, but some of them are made for Droid as well. So that's just a side note, because back in the day when I was teaching Photoshop, because I came from a graphic design field initially, the average cost for students, the cheapest you could get it, when I taught Photoshop years ago here, I think it was $199, 200, about 200 bucks, 200 bucks a year, 250 bucks a year. And that was for just Photoshop. That was it. Nothing else, just Photoshop. So this one's pretty cool, I think. Does anybody have that, by the way, the Creative Cloud? You have that? Okay. So you like it? You recommend it? Okay.
Especially if you use Illustrator to do your own artwork and Photoshop.
And has the price stayed pretty static? Has it stayed 10 bucks for a while? 200 bucks a year. So if you buy it by the year, it's going to be cheaper, right? Okay. All right. Because it's per month or by year, right? Okay. So yeah, if you can afford the year thing, that'd probably be the cheapest way to go. If you can, I know it's like 10 bucks a month or something like that for the products. So thank you for mentioning that. Next is, this kind of reminds me of the student a few semesters ago that brought us little cars he had, his little Hot Wheel cars and stuff. These guys are on can you tell where they're sitting on just by looking at it? Yeah, the car. It takes a second maybe for somebody, but it's actually just the car doors open here, and these guys on a cooler with a can of beer, and this guy's in a wheelchair taking a snooze, it looks like. It's pretty awesome. His little macro photography on the hood of a car. So yeah, you can do it anywhere. And I like the title of this one too. Homies on the Hood is the title of this one. I thought it was pretty awesome. This one's called Deflated. Now, is it macro photography? I think it's close-up photography, that's for sure. I don't know if I'd really consider macro. I mean, to me, this crack in the sidewalk with the dirt is more macro than the ball. Even though the ball is kind of, it's a deflated ball, but I don't know if it's considered macro. Now, this one definitely. Now, this was called Flower in a Drop. Guarantee you major post-production on this one. Okay, I'm not saying you can't get a photo like this live. You can, okay, because it's got a water drop right with the reflection of a perfectly noted flower here in the reflection. And again, I'm not saying it can't happen because it can, but most likely there's some definitely post-production in the blurring. I have gotten a few of these droplet, but I've never got a droplet that clear of a silhouette or a myriad of whatever, not that clear. So you definitely had to do some post-production to clear it up that way for sure. So it probably was there originally and they just cleared it up quite a bit. So that's pretty awesome though. And you can get a lot of, in macro, especially for nature in the morning with the dew, you can get a lot of that, especially, with the weather coming up. The eye of a Takeo gecko. Pretty cool there, close up. Sugar Girl, close up of a eyelash and eyebrow and the sparklies there. Reminds me of a macro I did of my family one time, just playing around. My oldest sister hated pictures, me taking photos. So, being a middle brother, like most brothers, you annoy them by doing what they don't like. And so I was taking close-ups literally right on their face almost of different parts of their face. And I got one of her nose or something, which she hated her nose. And so I still have that picture today. It kind of makes me laugh when I look at it. But again, macro, close up for sure. Some of these definitely are, in my mind, macro. I'm not saying it's not in a true sense of the word, probably not a true sense of macro in my mind. This one here, definitely, Soul Dance. It's a purple flower with droplets on the flower, getting up close up on that flower petal to get a close up of. That's pretty cool. That's a lily, actually, is what that is. And it's a close up of an insect. Not really considered a macro to me, but it's a cool picture, definitely, that's for sure. And when I think of a macro, I think of like a close up of this eye feature, like right there. But again, still pretty cool photo.
I mean, unless it's like a tiny, tiny bug, like a.
Do what now?
I mean, unless it's like a really tiny bug.
Yeah, right. I mean, this is a close up for sure, but macro to me, you'll see examples of what I think a macro is. But these are good. These are considered a macro family, all these. And so, you know, caterpillar getting ready to burst out. Both two caterpillars burst out into a butterfly. That's kind of cool. Again, probably not close up macro. This one definitely would be winter blues. And I really like the blurring it did here with the water droplets and the light on the petals. Definitely a good one here. Close up, not super close up, because I like the super duper close ups personally, but these are all good. But this one's pretty awesome. I like this one. Just a spoon on a table, kind of a checkered table, not checkered table, spotted table, and it's reflecting the table, the blue specks on the table. That's pretty awesome. I like that. Very simple. This one I don't like much. Just papers and, you know, it's cool, artistic, but treble clef, close up, a close up macro, or I guess, you know. This one's getting better. Close up of a ant
Butterfly.
or butterfly, I'm sorry. This is an ant below that. Butterfly was there. All right. Ant. That was pretty cool. Getting ready to bust bubble there of the water droplet. Yeah, close up. Some Van shoes. My son will like this one. Farewell, old friends. Spider. I'll tell you when I like the ones I like the best. This one's actually pretty cool. Water being poured and getting a close up of the water as it's being poured. I wouldn't even get closer to that. But with this, you actually see what's happening. If you got too close, you probably wouldn't see what's going on. A Fender pick on a guitar. That's kind of cool. This one I like. Water drop being suspended in air as it's being dropped into the water. It looks like a succession of drops have happened. Some flower. Really cool flower. Close up of a multicolor bungee. Drips. I think water macros look pretty cool. Hover. Well, this one's pretty close. I like this one. This one's really, really close. I mean, these look like, if you just saw that did not, it looks like a monster of some type. Okay. And this one is weird because if you notice, the water's coming up in the picture. Okay. And so it could be that a lot of post-production, number one. Number two, that it was reversed somehow or sideways or something originally. But it does have a water droplet, and I think this was added in. It looks cool. Spider with egg case. Red-eye tree frog. A little closer there on that one, on the hoverfly. Pseudo scorpion. This one's titled Gear. Beauty of Rust. Now, even though it's just an old rusty chain, I like it because it does show you macro. This is really up close. Really, really, really up close. This is blurred out. It's starting to get blurred out here. So right in here is a macro. That's what macro to me is. Same here. Good job of macro. Grass drops, just simple early morning dew, or the photographer could have dropped these water on there manually and taken a photo as well with a backdrop, a black backdrop. Another one I like, a lot of water, close-up image of this insect. This one is pretty awesome. It's just a normal cat called Fred Eye. That's pretty sweet. And then this one, definitely a lot of post-production. Okay. Dewdrop. Looks cool, but definitely a lot of post-production. Mothership, these are marbles in sand. And in the marbles is actually a globe, images of globes. That was pretty cool. Getting stuck in. Again, nice macro. So, out of all of those we looked at, think to yourself, what is about macro that is cool to you? And what settings can be used to take macro photography? We've talked about, actually not talked about that yet. So on the settings, I talked to some before class, but settings wise on macro on your camera, and I'll go around to make sure you know where this is at. On your cameras, you will have a macro button, okay? A macro button. It looks like a flower icon generally that's used for macro photography. Also, if you don't have that, you can use aperture mode. Will work on macros a lot as well. So those two, the macro image icon generally is a flower, which they use a flower because nature is used a lot for macro photography. And in that macro mode, getting up as close as you can to the subject with your camera, do not use any zoom whatsoever. And that's what you want to do with macro photography. Okay. As far as good day, if you're doing it outside, time of day would definitely be early morning or sunset. You're just gonna have better lighting. If it's indoors, just make sure you have by the window, by a well-lit window, or a well-lit lamp that you have around is good. But the major thing with macro, or a real trick, I guess I would tell you, is just don't use any zoom whatsoever. And get up as close as you can in your macro mode if you have that, which most of you probably will. If you don't have it, you can use aperture mode, because aperture mode will focus on the subject and blur out the background for you. So I'm going to walk around real quick to make sure you know where one of those two settings are, and we'll try to figure it out on your camera while I walk around, just so you know kind of what you're going to use. And you can even take a picture if you want to while we're playing with this, with like your mouse or something, kind of something up close. See if you can get that macro to work.
I'm trying to figure out where I want to be, 'cause I did that
Have you seen it before on this?
No.
Okay.
Not on this
Do you mind if I
one.
look at it?
Yeah.
And which app is this now?
It's just my regular camera app.
Okay.
But I did
Oh, that comes with it? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha.
I did
All right.
download something for macro though.
Okay, so it's on. Sports Night. Yeah, this one doesn't have any on it. You said you didn't have one that did though.
Yeah, I downloaded an app.
Okay. That one there.
Yeah.
Is that the macro setting?
Yes.
Okay.
It's all macro.
It's all macro. Cool.
Yep.
I would use that one then.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Did that.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one. Cool. And if you
Batteries are dead, so.
And if you want, you can practice with the mouse there if you want. I'll turn on the slides so you guys can see a little better. While I'm walking around, if you want to practice on your desk with a close-up of your mouse, that would work. Okay, walk over here. Yep, that's the one. Yep, you got it. Cool. There's actually an app. What was the name of the app you found up there on yours? Was it called Macro? The Macro?
Let me see what it's called.
There's actually a couple apps.
The first words are cozy magnifier. I just put in macro camera
Yeah,
on my
you should be able
Google
to find
Play.
one for Macro. That's what I would do. I'd let somebody find one. That'd be great. Yeah, what kind of, you have Android or iOS? Android? Okay. What's the name of this app? Okay. Sweet. Yeah, if you actually push this out just a little bit, you can set your phone on the table and just kind of tilt the phone. And you should be able to try it without any flash. That usually works the best. Job, and let me know if you two find yours on the Macro. So everybody found a Macro. Now what we can do is have some fun. You can come up here now. Everybody can, or one by one, and take a practice of this object I have in here. And I will turn the lights down over here to where we'll just have the lights of the light box. And I just want you to practice taking like 1 or 2 photos in your macro mode. And I'll leave my chair up here. That way you won't hurt your back and bending over. You can sit in that chair. So go ahead and come on up. Don't be shy. And take 1 or 2 photos in macro mode. And you can use what I have in there, or you can use something if you have in your pocket or whatever. A set of keys will work too. And a coin will work as well. So I'll put a few chairs up here if you guys want to do that. I'm going to switch out this for mine.
Okay, that might be a little bit better. Oh yeah, that's much better. Much better.
Yeah, oh yeah. Cool. Oh yeah, good. All right, next, everyone else come on up. Just take 1 or 2 photos with your, I did put my knife in there. Just use your macro setting and get as close as you possibly can physically to the object. You can move the lights around if you want to play around with it. As soon as you see a person done up here, just take their spot. Like everybody at least try one. That'd be great. You want to?
My camera's
Your
dead.
camera's dead.
It is.
It's all right. That happens.
I can tell this is just zooming or actually.
Okay. Yeah, like do those or not for me. Let's do that. Get it close. Yeah, that'll work. That'll definitely work. Yeah. What's the name of that? Camera Plus. I've got that. Let's see. Yeah, Camera Plus. Cool. So if you do have an iOS as a standby, you have your camera as well. iOS app Camera Plus is a good one to use, just in general. You get a photo of this or try to. All right, cool. And you can even push this mouse back. I like to do that sometimes and kind of get the logo in. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. you know, when you focus on the letters, it'll probably, I'm guessing, clear the letters right, and then the mouse will be blurry. But if you focus on the mouse, then like this here, this be focused here, the mouse part, and then you usually have to get the camera like around the desk, and then this part here can be blurred. All right. Do what now? No, that's fine. Yeah. Cool. All right, next. Just come on up real quick, and then we'll go over your take home in just a second. And if somebody else wants to come up beside him, you can. You guys can do two at a time. That'd be fine. Yeah, if you want to open up any of those, you can. You guys ever watch MacGyver? Oh yeah, awesome, man. I used to watch the original MacGyver, and the new MacGyver is good too. That's awesome. He uses a knife for everything. Basically, he can be in any situation, the knife will get him out. Right? Disarm a bomb, no problem. Got a knife. Thank you, sir. All right, while he's finishing up there, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the take home. Good job. For the week. And as you can probably guess, it's going to be on macro photography. So what you're going to do is take 15 photos using a macro setting or aperture. I think everybody in here has a macro or macro app that we found out for you. Make sure you're in good lighting, either outdoors or indoors. And with the macro, the 15 photos, you're going to upload to week 10 when you're finished as always. And what we're going to do next week when you come first to class is when you come in, we're going to talk about, I have my lights over here, umbrella lights. This will be here as well. I had a couple people say they're bring some folks with you. Is that right? Got a couple over here said you'd bring them. That'd be great. Or at least try. That'd be awesome. And then we're going to go through about 20-25 minutes of instruction on how to use lighting, how to talk to folks when you're in a portrait studio. I'll have music playing in the background, and then we'll have fun just taking a portrait, different poses, different settings to make the person feel comfortable and have fun with it. And that's what we're going to do next week, because a week after week 12 is the portrait lab. Portrait lab is where you do get to invite your family and friends, and that's 2 weeks from tonight. And 2 weeks from tonight, I'll be emailing everybody this week on an invitation you can send people of that event. Snacks will be, I'll be bringing snacks and water, and then you guys can bring some as well on that night. And we'll start at normal time. And if folks have kids, they'll be the first ones to get their photos taken. We'll have 2 separate sections for photos that night, 2 separate rooms to take photos, so we can run people through there pretty quickly. And then, but we'll focus on the folks with kids first, get them out and about early as we can, and then everybody else secondary. Questions on that? Again, that's 2 weeks from tonight. Next week, thank you for those who raised your hand saying you're going to try to bring some folks next week. That would be awesome. And macro photography, again, lots of fun. Enjoy it. If you're going to do indoors, one of the cool things you might try is find an old coin at home, if you can find one. Those are always cool to do, or old jewelry is cool to do as well. And especially something that has some sentimental value. Sometimes it's kind of neat to take a close-up photo. But that's it for the week. If you have any questions, come see me. Otherwise, see you next week. Good job. And thanks for those who helped me on the testing earlier tonight on the poster. I appreciate it.